Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. By Jackson Aurelia. Jackson Aurelia. Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. Proc it Jackson Aurelia. T-Force.
Welcome to the rework of the T-Force. Now we going hard cause we bumping at the beat source. It's a 3-course dinner of dudes bringing the news and stats, interviews and cash from the pro scene. So fresh and so clean, like you're leaning with Nami in the bot lane. Keep it hot like brand, practicing his dot game. Give it to you easy like you're Resi in a bot game. Imagine Draven at prime time. Now ulti like LeBlanc can copy that 4 times, but manlier. Knock it up like now fight planning a family-er. You gotta be tuned in like Sona on the ad wall. Get on the chat call. Can a podcast really be all that? Of course. How do 4 guys make a Triforce?
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I am joined by 4 great guys this week. Recker's here. Hi, buddy.
Hey, good morning.
Did we just wake you up?
Yeah, I was just laying in bed here.
Oh, yeah?
Taking a little nap before the podcast.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
On
Punch
such
is
short
here.
notice.
You're actually dreaming. You're not really on the podcast.
That's crazy. This is going to be an awesome podcast. I'm dreaming. Because I get to determine what all you say.
I can't find the Trinity Force Podcast stuff. Chira's here.
Hi.
DeClawd.
Yep.
So if you're wondering where Daze is at, Daze has been having microphone issues, and we've been trying to sort them out for a couple weeks. Plus, she's been, holidays and all the other stuff. Unfortunately, hasn't been able to join us. So to step in, I did ask Recker to join us this week. And I specifically asked Recker to join us because of a topic we are going to chat about tonight.
And it's a topic that none of you have any experience with.
So it's perfect. Look at that. Convenience and knowledge.
Why can't
I'm just
I
going to be a
find-
spectator for this episode.
Yeah.
You're
It's going to nod thoughtfully like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Podcasting is a spectator sport.
Well, it is when Adam can't figure out what to say next.
Well, yeah, the problem was I couldn't find the Trinity Force Podcast show document. Like, I've decided if you're watching the live cast and you see me looking down, it's a lot because I have my laptop in front of me now, so I can actually type. And,
3 monitors.
6 or no 4. I can't count.
Oh, God.
I'm bad at counting.
Well, 6 is almost 4.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna say,
you know
that's a lot.
Both
what
even numbers.
So this last week on Twitter, if you're not following us at T-Force Podcast, you may have noticed that a picture got tweeted. And it was a really awesome picture of somebody who is the champion and is ready to take on every League of Legends podcast because this coming... No, I'm kidding. I would get into the whole chant. But see this belt right here, guys? I'm going to talk like this into the microphone. You see this belt right here? If you're not watching live, you're missing out. Yes, it's a WWE belt. However...
No, it's an upside-down M to avoid copyright issues. There we go.
That's actually very smart. I'm glad we were
See this
playing.
belt? This is an MME belt.
It's for
EMM.
This shit is staying right here. And I want to show you something else. I'm going to yell about this so everybody hasn't listening on the MP3 won't see. But this right here, that's an LCS rundown logo. And what's it got through it? Oh, right. We took them out. They're gone. It's over. That's right. That's one down. That's one podcast down.
Is that the wall of shame?
The wall of shame is
It is.
right there behind me. Every podcast we take out is going on that wall. Right here with this belt. Right here with this awesome EMM belt.
I hope so much that like whoever we play just shits on us.
Hey!
You shut your damn mouth,
You
Chira.
shut your horn mouth, Chira Jaden, or I'm
And
bringing
then I'll have
Recker in
to
on
ship the
this.
belt out somewhere.
I'll throw games just to see what happens.
Belt's going nowhere.
This belt is going nowhere. You see, brother, they have already played the best, and the best is named Potophobia this Sunday. I can go on and on. I can
It's
do
not
that.
this Sunday.
I like Snaggles better.
You know what? It doesn't matter. This is staying on my shoulder for the entire podcast right here. This belt. Everybody's
Where
not
it
listening.
belongs.
If you are listening to this podcast and you're not watching the live show, you are missing out. You're missing out on the belt that I have on my shoulder. You're missing out on Recker's face. You're also missing out on us talking about a donation that came in.
My face? What the fuck?
Thanks to Ben Gentry.
So rude.
He sent in $15 for us as a donation. So thank you very much, Ben. His message was a smiley face.
Thanks, buddy.
What more needs to be said?
Yeah.
Hey, we're happy to see it.
Well, you know what else could be said? How about a couple of reviews that came in over since we had that last review where I called Badger Mole out? for his review. We had 2 more reviews come in. So Sir Tesla, he put in a review. He says, I've been listening to it for a full year now, since episode 87 to be exact, and I loved all the stuff that Dominic and Adam throw in. The group makes a good balance of humor and teaching to make for an amazing podcast to watch live or listen to on a car ride or simply going to sleep. Overall, great podcast, amazing community, and as stated above, and just overall fun to watch.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
We love
Tesla.
you.
Great for going to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What does that mean?
I you know what? I'm gonna.
Our soothing voices. Listen to the white noise.
Well, listen to
as
my
we
soothing
lull you
voice
to
as I
sleep.
read Stu Blount's
Yeah.
review.
How are you supposed to go to sleep when Adam's
Although I'm
screaming
still in
obscenities?
bronze, this podcast has made a huge impact in the way I play. I'm slowly crawling out of bronze too, and with things I've learned from this podcast, I can see improvements in my gameplay. Good stuff, guys and girls. Thanks for everything. Love all the puns, and thanks for making work go faster. Fellow summoner Nick.
Awesome, Nick. Thanks for the
Thank
review.
you, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
If you guys
Keep
would
up
like
the
to leave
grind.
us a review, you can do it on Stitcher, or you can do it on iTunes. We will read either or as they come in, and you can hear them live on air. So you can also tell me how awesome this belt looks on my shoulder, because this shit's staying on the entire
Where did you
podcast.
get that?
What? I bought this.
You know,
Yeah,
that's
from-
kind of...
I
course
won
you
this. It
bought
was
it.
given to me
Wait.
for winning last
I
time.
was-
I beat
that's
them.
kinda
You see
cheesy.
that right there? You see
I was
that?
hoping we were gonna say that you didn't buy it because now it's something that it's a gift you gave yourself.
I didn't
and
buy it.
he-
They
he
give
earned
it to
it.
me. I earned it.
He earned it.
No
You know, it is
top-line matchup
cheesy.
can take this from me.
It is cheesy, and you were reading the reviews off your Mac, so you're mac and cheese.
All right, let's
That's
move into
great.
some League of Legends discussion. We brought
yeah.
Recker
I'd
on
work too
here
hard for
for
that one.
a purpose. Last week we had teased a little bit, or last Monday we teased a little bit. We talked about double Brutalizer junglers. We had people actually asking us on Twitter and asking us and wherever, like, what do you mean double Brutalizer? That doesn't stack. Da, 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 da. So I'm going to let Recker just take the reins with this and run right with it.
All right, so the double Brutalizer jungler. You're right. Brutalizer does not stack. However, when you build Brutalizer into the warrior enchantment on an item, it no longer has a unique passive, which means those stats do stack with another Brutalizer. So what you end up with is like 20 flat armor pen. You end up with 20% cooldown reduction and a pretty good amount of attack damage. And on the junglers like Vi, Wukong, building just those 2 damage items and going full tanky is pretty much all you'll need to take out a carry throughout most of the game. I'm coughing.
Do you get a big spike by the time you get that warrior enchant?
I'd
Like, is it,
say,
like, do you notice a
generally
big
speaking, I'll build the warrior enchant probably by like 8-9 minutes into the game. And that's,
You'll have your other brutalizer already because you double brute.
and at that, I won't have my other brutalizer. That's like the first one.
Oh, okay.
But
Fully
both
upgrade.
points in the game are damage spikes for you. Excuse me, sorry, I need to grab my inhaler real quick. I'll do that in a second. But both of those are really big damage spikes when you get both of those, especially like if you get fed early. Just taking out flat penetration against people who aren't building armor is just
Right.
huge amounts of damage.
I mean, that's even good damage on like tanky enemy junglers, tanky top laners, tanky whoever that aren't initially building those defensive stats. So even though they have that innate tankiness, you kind of just shred right through whatever they have.
Yeah, and even
Right.
squishies. I know the one brutalizer is always a huge power spike by the time you finish that off. So I'd like to try it. I want to see it. I was talking about Riven, it being pretty fantastic on, I can imagine, for Riven jungle.
Yeah,
Have you tried
especially
that?
Riven, because she's so reliant on having her skills to spam out, and that cooldown reduction
Right.
just benefits her huge
I've been
at
playing it because I've been learning jungle like I mentioned last week, and I've been trying it on everybody, even the people I shouldn't be playing it on, like Volibear, and I realize I'm too squishy to have it on Volibear. But Skarner is another good one to play it on because cooldown reduction helps him quite a bit with his ultimate. And who else did I play it with?
Pantheon?
Rengar, Pantheon would do another one.
Yep. I mean, definitely all those that just spam out their abilities in the jungle and take them down. You want that AD, you want that cooldown reduction.
Now, this
you
isn't
want
to
that
necessarily
penetration.
say rush the Brutalizer. What you are doing is you're rushing whatever you get. You get your jungle item, and then you go for the enchantment, which is Warrior. The Warrior is the Brutalizer enchantment. So you get your base cooldown reduction, you get your base AD, you get all the pieces off of the Warrior that you get. The second Brutalizer, now what I've noticed is you don't have to rush it. Rushing it is great. it's one of those where you can rush it if you get a kill or a really successful gank. Then you could pick up that 617, grab that Brutalizer, because that's all Brutalizer is right now. It's really cheap. Or it's just over that. It's the 2 long swords and 617 to combine it. So you're
yeah, it's 1337 total.
Is it still elite? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so after you get like that successful gank, you get those dragons, you get whatever, the towers, whatever it may be, you can go and buy it. I have noticed that with a lot of my junglers that I have to stop at some point to pick up a defensive item. After I get my warrior enchant, I have to pick up, whether it's a Spectre's Cowl, it's a Warden's Mail, it's boots,
a Giant's Belt.
something. You have
right.
And it might be because of where I'm playing. The problem I've run into with jungling, and other people might run into as well, is that I'm playing high plat now, and I'm jungling at a silver level, but I have the skill to initiate at a plat level. I just don't have the skill to jungle at a plat level. So I have to make up for that by building tanky and and not be able to rush that double Brutalizer unless I am ahead.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of scenarios where I would not go ahead and get that second Brutalizer right away. But then again, there's a lot more scenarios that I think you're leaving where I would actually go ahead and just immediately get a second Brutalizer.
Well,
I mean, there's been a lot of games where I've gotten an early kill, gotten my first Brutalizer real quick, and then that's caused me to start to snowball, and getting my second Brutalizer has caused me to snowball even further.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's kind of what, when it comes down to it, Warrior enchants pretty similar to the Elder Lizard enchant in that it's one of those items that you would, Elder Lizard when it was Elder Lizard, it's one of those items that you get to get an overwhelming advantage early, because over the course of the game, it's good, but it's not like the equivalent of an IE or what a Hydra would be later or something else. So in that regard, going this double Brutalizer route is sort of like the big gamble to snowball the shit out of something and crush them when you have the advantage. When it comes down to buying a defensive item, especially with how big getting an early dragon is, if you have those 2 damage items and your team's focusing on dragon and the enemy team can kind of screw around and then potentially kill you because you don't have the tankiness to help, so you're dead before you can even smite something, that is a big issue. So you have to keep that in mind. Like, I don't know necessarily, because I don't feel this is something that people should do every game, but this is definitely something like, say you're playing, let's throw out Riven. Let's say you're playing somebody like Lee Sin, somebody who...
Why don't you pick Lee Sin, Skarner, Hecarim. Hecarim
right.
Definitely gets a big advantage from that.
Somebody who is pretty overwhelming if they can get a slight edge, and then once they do have that slight edge and you add that one other little thing to it, it just completely makes it so that they're unstoppable as long as it's in a 1v1 situation early. And a lot of that's enough to shut down somebody mentally, especially on the other team if they're on the receiving end of 2 Brutalizers to the face. But again, like, I don't know. Is this something that you're like, you pick one of those champions and you build this almost every game? I know you said you don't rush the second Brutalizer like right off the bat, which is probably smart, depending on what the situation is. But
it's pretty much like I pick these champions and I'm expecting that there's a very good chance I'm going to get both of them. But if I fall behind, then I'll skip the second Brutalizer and go tanky.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask is how many times or how many games have there been where you've had to abandon the second Brutalizer because you've fallen so far behind?
I'd say probably like 1 out of 10 games.
Okay.
So you have to do terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's just straight up the 2 Brutalizers on the champions that I play them, which is primarily like Wukong Vi. You pretty much dive carries and you want to kill them, which that's Brutalizer. You're taking squishies out.
It's brutal.
It's brutal.
I can see Rengar benefiting a lot from that, just because cooldown reduction is so good on Rengar for his ferocity.
Well, and you could
and that's the other thing is like you're getting the 20% CDR as well as building damage, which is huge for getting your ultimates off cooldown, which is great for Vi and Wukong.
Yeah.
So you're just ganking more often with ult.
I'm gonna have to try it out. Do you work boots? And I like Mobies a lot out of a lot of my junglers. Do you usually work your boots in there somewhere?
Yeah, I've actually played games where I've just gone I was so far ahead and just like ganking so often that I went the double Brutalizers and then the cooldown reduction boots, and then my 5% cooldown reduction. I just had 40% CDR
Right.
like 13 minutes in the game. You're ganking like every minute with ult.
So you're saying you run the I run 5% CDR in my runes as it is anyway. You do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
On like Vi, I do. Wukong, I run the
Yeah.
attack speed.
Yeah. No, that it's I love running that extra 5%, and with the itemization the way it is right now, if you build the right items, it levels out to a perfect 40%, and then you can kind of build
If you
other
get
things.
40% at 13 minutes in the game
It's
too, that's
huge.
ridiculous.
Yep.
That's
why
a
Zz'rot
lot of
double-
cooldown reduction on your ult.
A
That's why I
Zz'rot
like
jungle,
double
Recker.
Morello
Zz'rot
and
jungle? I don't know.
With brutalizers.
Well, fun fact, just mentioning Azir, fun fact, they're fixing more stuff on Azir.
Prize.
It's like an asterisk. Who knows when it's actually going to make it in? But if you ever played Azir, you've noticed that when you press Q, the soldiers just kind of randomly appear in front of you. It feels like it. The old formula for Azir was that the second oldest soldier you put out was the soldier that made it to the middle of the cast, or middle of the line. And now they're making it so the last soldier you put out makes it to the middle. So if you have three soldiers out, whatever the last soldier you put out, no matter where you put it, will be the one that appears in the middle when they all come together. Based on
I
your
thought they were
cursor.
making it so it was the soldier that was closest to where your cursor was.
No, it's more than one thing. They're going to go to where your cursor is, left and right of your cursor. If you have two, being that I'd have to look it up. I did the TLDR earlier, but they're changing it so it makes more sense to how the Azir's how it should work, rather than.
I mean,
the
how
second
like
oldest-
mentally you would think it would work.
Right. Well, you would never think like, okay, the second oldest soldier you put out is going to be the soldier that makes it to the middle. Like that doesn't make sense. You would think it would be the soldier that is actually in the middle already, in between you and the two other. But that's not even how it worked.
Yeah.
So it was really hard to play. But is that all we have to say about double brutalizers? Go out and try it. Let us know what you think.
I mean, yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty straightforward. It's AD champions that want cooldown reduction, want attack damage, and want penetration. Double brutalizer. Too good.
Looks like someone on Twitch tried double brutalizer Teemo and went 0-26.
I wonder why.
Not sure if that's true, but still pretty
I
funny.
didn't see that.
I mean,
saw-
definitely not data to support double brutalizers, but I would label that as an outlier.
Perhaps.
Okay, then. Great. Well, we were talking about PvE. We had somebody actually commented and asked what we meant by PvE, because I thought we said PvE, as in player versus enemy.
Right.
And it's PBE, which is the public beta environment, which is the place that Riot throws everything that they're working on, every change to the game. They put it on this public beta environment so people can test it. And they can come back and say, yes, no, maybe so.
Right. We usually don't talk about it because they're all so tentative, but this one seems pretty solid.
Yeah, because they've been there for 3 weeks now, I think.
Yeah.
They were there
Yeah.
before Christmas. They've been here now, so we started talking about it. I can definitely see the advantages of Smite. We had briefly touched on Smite. Again, this really, I brought in Recker. The Recker, you couldn't have come on in a better episode because we've talked about this off the podcast. Let's talk about
Right.
let's talk about double Smite. Let's talk about the opening the jungle. Let's really hone in on what those changes are. We briefly touched on it, spent maybe 5 minutes going on it, but I want to hear your thoughts on those those changes.
Well, I mean, Riot's been trying to make the jungle a more interactive game, and part of that is getting like a wider variety of junglers in there, and this is definitely a change that's going to help to get a wider variety of junglers in there. I mean, really, if you're a jungler that farms your own jungle most of the time, this change is probably not going to be that noticeable to you. It's going to be beneficial for sure, but
Right.
noticeable, like it's not going to give you that big of an advantage. Who this is going to affect the most, really, is ganking junglers that kind of want to leave the jungle, go gank lanes, and then come back and clear what they can, and then base. You're going to have the opportunity to use your smite twice, which is like you can either use your smite to gank the lane or clear 2 camps. It's also going to benefit the counter junglers, especially those who are going to purchase the poachers, because poachers is going to give you a half charge of smite when you smite, which means you have 3 smites if you smite twice in the enemy jungle. So even if like you have a ganking jungler and you want a counter jungle, maybe getting poachers is a good thing because then you can go smite twice and then gank with your third smite.
It's funny how with just this change, it completely brings poachers into contention for crazy
Right.
usage now.
Like poachers just becomes amazing because now you can go like counter jungle a blue and then immediately take dragon with 2 smites.
Yep.
It's
I don't know, I mean,
disgusting.
it's
That
huge
is
for a bunch of
interesting.
people. Say you build stalkers and you want to gank top, mid, whatever. You could smite the raptor camp, get that, the ward removal, run in, clear a ward, wait a second for your smite to come back off cooldown because 15-second cooldown between smites, and then just immediately go in with stalkers and smite somebody off the bat. They're slowed, you collapse with your laner, and then bam.
Right.
Like,
and this is
that-
going to separate the good junglers from the bad, because
Right.
the good junglers are going to watch their smite stacks, understand when they're coming up, understand how long they have since the last one they used, and are going to gank accordingly. They're going to use like that whole scenario you just listed out. They're going to set that scenario up based on the time that how long the game has been going on. That's
Right.
what really good junglers are going to do. The bad
Yeah.
junglers are just going to smite and keep playing like they used to.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing is like it changes the whole aspect of, or the whole prioritization of what junglers do, because now you're not timing what you're doing based off of camps and when they spawn. You're doing what you're doing based off of your smite and when you have 2 available.
right.
Okay, so you can always save that one for the raptor.
Yeah.
Pretty
And that's the thing, is like getting that raptor ward and clearing out and then ganking, or just even not clearing a ward and knowing that it's not warded going into a gank.
So how much priority does this put on smiting wolves now that poachers could be a thing? Saving your wolves or saving your gromp and your blue buff by smiting wolves and having that little ward.
I think
buff
if you
around.
go the poachers route and you're looking to counter jungle,
No, not you having poachers. You playing against somebody
yeah.
that has poachers.
oh, against the poachers, I think probably smiting your wolves is going to be like your number one thing, assuming you're not purchasing an extra amount of wards. But realistically, I don't think that preventing the counter jungle through using your smite is the best option. I think I would still rather
Right.
be able to either gank with it or clear my other camps.
And you also have to keep in mind that just because you smite wolves, I mean, they know if they go into your jungle and they know that they're there. But,
And sometimes
I mean,
though, that's enough to just make somebody not come counter jungle you.
but at the same time, depending on what jungler you are, sometimes you just don't give a shit and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're gonna
like
do
that's
it
the other
anyway.
thing too, is like even if like you say Riven with double brutalizers ganking somebody
Yeah.
Well, you can't
or
have
counter
double
jungling
care.
and you're like 2 kills ahead already, you're just kind of like 1v2 in your own jungle, I'll at least take one of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll take those odds.
I'll take those odds. Like I'll probably get both of you, but at least one of you's going down with me.
One concern I had about the double smite, or the potential double smite that we touched on last episode a little bit, was its use in late game, and how there could, for the junglers to get offensive smite, they have a potential to use it twice in a single team fight. And I'm wondering if that's in every late game team fight, because how much emphasis are you putting on smiting any objective that's not Dragon or Baron?
I don't think it's necessarily such a big advantage for using it twice in team fights late game. I think the bigger advantage that you can get is that you can force a team fight using your smite and then still have
And
a smite to
steal
go
it.
take an objective like Dragon
Well,
or Baron.
You could even.
I think
smite-
that's what the bigger advantage is. And
It
the
depends-
fact that you could use it twice in a team fight potentially is really just like the lesser of those two evils, and you're focusing on the wrong thing.
It's that last smite that really matters. The
Yeah.
one that steals if you got to worry about it. I see this. I really like this for. There's always been times where I'm like, man, I wish I could get that raptor buff so I could clear the dragon right now. Now you can do that. Get the raptor buff, clear the ward. Then use your sweeper to clear another ward and get full control over the objective, and still have your smite up to kill it.
Right.
The
Especially with that poacher, is like you just go in the enemy jungle, get that wolf, and then get
the
whatever,
biggest
and you
thing
have
that
your
I've had-
third smite.
The biggest thing
Yeah.
I've had a problem with learning jungle is understanding how to use smite properly, because my biggest gripe is that smite always feels like it's on cooldown, because either I'm not managing it properly, or I am managing it properly, but it still feels like it's on cooldown, and then something happens within that next minute that I want to steal a camp, or, you know, I just happen to have time to walk over to see if their blue is up, and their blue is up, but I shouldn't. But at that point, I probably shouldn't be walking over there because I don't have a smite up anyway. You know, like, it's just not having smite on a cooldown from a learning perspective sucks.
I definitely feel you there on the earlier levels in the jungle where you can't necessarily spare your smite so that you have it for a gank, because you kind of have to have it to clear those buffs or those camps. It's definitely like a disparity, like, hey, I'm still going into these ganks and I don't have an extra summoner like these other junglers do.
Yeah, once you go back and get your 350 item, you don't need it anymore. You just use it for the buffs. And generally it's going to be a raptor so you can gank. So since you're learning jungle, it's better now than it was, as far as you could spec smite so you get more gold. You can't do that anymore, obviously. You can't spec any summoners. So it felt dirty not to use it when it was off cooldown. So you'd always want to use it so you can maximize your gold gain from it. But yeah, early game, I guess the pre-350, yeah, you do have to worry about how you use it. You always initiate on the Krugs if you're doing the Krugs, or initiate on the Gromp so you get that damage to help you kill that camp. And then it shouldn't be a problem after you go back.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious, have you guys tried the running the 13 points on the utility tree for jungling?
I've been
I
running
do that with Sejuani.
A support heavy page of utility masteries on Udyr, Nautilus, just a bunch of like kind of weird mana intensive junglers that have a lot of good natural stats.
Tanky ones.
Yeah, definitely. I go utility. I go even further than the 13, but basically, like, there's this kind of like basic 13 points that you can put into the utility tree where you get like the 3% lifesteal spell vamp, the 1.5 move speed, 20% increased duration on buffs, as well as the extra starting gold. So you start with like a third potion. And I haven't found a jungler other than like just straight up sustained junglers like Zz'rot or Master Yi, or where I don't run these masteries because they're just so strong for the early game.
Very good.
They you literally can gank at full health as opposed to like not being able to gank at all on your first clear.
Yeah, I was about to say the only junglers that I don't necessarily like these on would be like just ones that can either just crazy quick clear on their own, or you know it's not that big a deal to get.
Here's what I do on Sejuani. Right now I'm running a 0921 on Sejuani. But I like Scavenger because when you're killing the raptors, you know, if the enemy's pushed up to your friendly base, you get a little bit extra gold and you're stealing some experience. It's great. You just push yourself on the edge
when you're near a laner.
Yeah, when you're near the laners. Okay. And then you have the Wanderer.
I have
a
0921 and a 1821 page. That's basically the same.
The jungle, man. It's effective for those.
It's solid. I mean,
I said at the beginning of season 3 that I thought utility jungle was going to be really good, and it kind of was, but it proved to like not be the best. But now I really think utility is great for jungling.
I mean, between the move speed, since the jungle's harder, having like a buff for 20% longer is crazy huge early. I mean that it's a whole extra camp, 2 camps that you can have.
Especially on like a Moo or Sejuani, where you just want that blue buff for so long.
It's great.
And then you can tell your mid laner, like, hey, fuck you, you don't get blue because it's 20% more effective for me than it is you.
I don't even see mid lane getting blue anymore. I feel like it's always 2 blues to the jungler because the jungler is level 5 by the time mid lane's level 7.
Yeah, I feel like I give blue up, or my second blue up, a lot less often than I normally would because I'm not as ahead in experience as I normally would be because I'm not clearing as fast or like as much. So I want to hit that level 6.
It completely depends on how well my mid laner is doing. Like if they don't have like 2 to 3 kills up, I'm probably keeping my blue.
Yeah.
Like if they have a kill or 2 under their belt, I'll give it to them, but if I just don't trust them to carry, then I'm not going to give it to them.
If I got a Nivea or a Swain, you know, I like to give them blue so they can just keep their ults up.
It's hard for me to justify it when that's a big chunk of XP for me, and by the time that second blue comes up, I am almost level 6, so I'm going to get level 6 and make my level 6 count.
It's
really hard for me to justify on, say, like a Vi, if I'm coming up to a blue buff and I just hit level 5,
Yep.
And I want to hit that level 6 because not only will it get me closer to level 6, so I'll be able to put pressure on a lane, which I haven't been able to do because I'm Vi. It'll allow me to put pressure on another lane faster, or that same lane faster, because I have a 10% cooldown reduction as well.
Well, it's the huge 6 spike that you get anyway, plus the ability to keep spamming abilities.
Right, that 10% cooldown reduction is a lot bigger than most people realize for champions that rely on an ult to gank.
And now we have 40% cooldown reduction because we're running double Brutalizer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's at least 30%.
Hey, by the
Put
time you have
5% in your
double,
runes and 5% in your masteries, and you're set.
by the time you have double Brutalizer and another item, I don't think you're gonna need blue buff at that point
Yeah,
anymore.
if you have double
You're thinking
Brutalizer,
of-
I'm giving that to my mid laner
No
anyway.
way. I'm
Because you're at
keeping it
least
so
level
I
6.
can spam my abilities more often because I want more Qs as Skarner. God, please. I'm in agreement with you. If my mid lane is, obviously it goes without saying, if my mid lane has a death, I'm not giving them a blue buff. But
Yeah. I've been in games where I just like straight up haven't given any of my buffs away because I was carrying. Like just straight up, jungle's in a position right now where if you're carrying, you're carrying.
You can right now. It's awesome.
Yeah. And you can just like not give up your buffs because fuck you guys, I'm carrying.
Well, that and every buff that like you can take or that you deny and you can continue to take with how hard the jungle is right now. If you can get a slight edge over the enemy jungler and then pick fights in their jungle, you can get them super behind, like
That's
way
another
more
big
behind
thing,
than you
is,
used
like,
to in the past.
The disparity between a good jungler and a bad jungler right now is crazy. A good jungler can just destroy a whole game on his own by just keeping the enemy jungler down. Or just even keeping like that slight XP edge on him. I've been in games where like the enemy team has been ahead and I've been able to win the game simply because I was keeping my own buffs and getting myself like experience and ahead of the enemy jungler. And I would just initiate fights harder because I was ahead in experience.
Or just keep visiting lanes.
Yeah, or just keep
Push that
visiting
advantage
lanes.
and
Like,
make the other jungler have to try to run to react or sit there and say, F this.
like
give up and farm
experience
his
is stats. If you're leveling up, you have free stats. Like getting gold's not the only way to get stats.
well, let's talk about stats. That's a nice segue, actually, whether you know it or not. So,
I knew
Zz'rot Portal is another item I wanted to talk about today, especially with banner command or some kind of cheese strategies that go around this item.
It's a new banner command.
Well, it's a nice item that I think you could pair with banner command.
Right.
In my opinion, this item is a very one-off type of thing. There's a cheese strategy. So those of you out there who don't know what Zz'rot Portal is, it is an item that gives you plus 50 armor, plus 50 magic resist, and 100% base health regeneration. So you get 11 HP per 5. There's a unique passive, which is Point Runner. Builds up to 30% movement speed over 2 seconds while near turrets or void gates. So, the Void Gate spawns a Void Gate at target location for 150 seconds. Every 4 seconds, the gate makes a Void spawn that travels down the nearest lane. Void spawns explode when attacking structures. Void spawns ignore champions and Void targets. So, all they do is attack.
Because they push.
They push. They attack the creeps in the lane and they blow up on turrets.
I don't get that in a Guardian Angel armor, and you got armor and MR covered
Yeah.
for your tankiness. So this is one of the very few items that have both armor and magic resist, which make it a high value item in my opinion.
Now, this
Despite
item is
that,
I agree there. I can't understand like how valuable resistances are, especially in a single item.
when you double them up like
this
that.
item is built on a Raptor Cloak and Negatron, which is 2,800 gold total. Now, there are some unique properties with Void Gate, and or with the Zz'rot Portal, but now I can't find it. I think on the if I remember correctly, on the third guy that comes out of it, or the third Voidling that comes out of it, they gain attack
50%.
damage based on
50% of your armor and magic resistance.
They gain tankiness.
right.
And after
So-
4 seconds, Void Spawn will begin losing 40% of their max health every second. So
I
they'll
wonder
last
if
forever.
you can. I wonder if you can grab them like Syndra can grab one
So
and throw it away.
It
Why not?
looks like
Probably.
this is an item you're gonna throw kind of close to like a turret or something. That way, when the voidlings or whatever you want to call them, the void spawn, they're gonna get to whatever target that you're trying to kill before that 4-second mark, so they just don't start losing. Like, say you throw it right next to your turret and they're not pushed up to turret. by the time that void spawn gets to the enemy turret, it's going to almost be dead. Now, if there's nothing else in the way, that's fine because I can just blow up at the end of its life. So that's kind of cool. But does anybody know what the distance is where it starts to give that speed passive?
What? No,
Because,
the
like-
speed passive is just innate on the item.
No, the speed passive builds up over 30 seconds depending on how close you are to a turret or a void gate. So, like, you could actually make a pretty, depending on how far
you
the
mean
distance is.
increments.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Say you have your turret like right here and your void gate right here, and I'm making two fists right next to each other. There's like a lane that you could create between the two where you'd have like a decent amount of space to have a sprint for whenever you wanted to move. So
I never thought about that.
yeah, I mean, like you kind of have, oh hey, depending, like say that you're going up to the enemy turret, you're already going to have, does the speed boost count when you're at the enemy turret? Because if it does, you put that void gate just out of reach of the turret in an area where you get the speed boost regardless if you're at that turret or at your void gate, and
Put
you
it,
have
like,
an
in the top
area.
lane bush.
Yeah, you have an area where you could like go in and dive and then just jet right back on out.
Maybe
you're gonna
play this on Galio and use your little gust and combine the movement speed, and just zip on out of there.
They've done a good job of putting just stats on this, so it doesn't give you any offensive capabilities, and that's why I wonder if it's a one-off item where you build it on a jungler that's ahead, or you build it on a top laner like Scion, Mundo, Galio could build it on a top lane for sure. Somebody that could use all of the defensive stats properly.
Somebody that already has health that could take advantage of these resistances.
What about it taking?
Because it doesn't give you health on its own, and the armor and magic cruiser just like greatly augment health when you already have it.
Now,
Yep.
what about building this as like a 6 item on an AD carry and dropping it in the lane to help alleviate pressure?
Honestly,
Well, the way I always thought this item would be used is to like counter a split push strategy,
Right.
or it's like where you don't have a teleport or whatever. You just drop this in a lane that's like slow pushed against you. The creeps build up, and then the enemy team gets forced to deal with like this huge wave, or their turret's gonna blow up because these Zz'rot minions have been
If
building
there's
up in a
somebody
wave.
in the lane split pushing it though, like I'm not sure how effective this is going to be because it seems like
Well,
the
but-
void spawns like they die.
But the
real
way you're
quick.
countering it is you're basically saying either this item's going to deal with your split push by forcing
Right.
you to come 5v5 us, or you're going to be forced to go deal with this wave and we're going to 5v4 your team.
Well, another problem is that the void spawns don't last very long, so I don't know how big of a wave they can build up.
right. And the other thing
Is there a
too,
time
like,
on them? I didn't see that there
Yeah.
was a time
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
they're
after-
not infinite.
after 4 seconds they start to kill themselves. Like
Okay.
slowly,
Really?
they lose a chunk of HP per second.
Like
the other
semi-
thing,
passive.
Relatively,
But I mean, it
fast.
still sounds like it could at least stop or slow down a split push.
or I mean, they ignore champions. So if you're doing that like Singe proxy bullshit and somebody throws the void gate down, they're just gonna run by you and keep attacking the wave when it finally meets the wave. Do we know if you can kill the portal as well, or is the portal
Yeah,
unkillable?
The portal can be killed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it lasts.
And I
for
don't
the-
think it takes a lot to kill it.
I mean, the duration of the active is the same as the cooldown of the ability.
Right.
So you have.
So I
to
mean,
be able
if
to
you can
otherwise
kill
this
this
thing is up
early
100%
too,
time.
I mean,
Oh, and maybe you
Said
can use the
150 seconds.
maybe you can use the portal kind of like a little mini trundle pillar, as a place to create a little bit of extra terrain. Like, is it? Can you pass through it, or is it like a turret
I'd
radius?
have to go
Or it's a
watch.
pain in the
I'd
ass?
have to
Just
go
troll
watch
people
videos.
with it.
Yeah, exactly. So
I
I
mean,
don't know.
I could even, this is going to be a little weird, but I could even see this being built on a split pusher to like, oh, hey, I should maybe join the team now. I'm going to dip this portal right next to this turret that already has a large wave pushing with it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go rejoin the team while this shit keeps pushing.
Well, what
I can
about
see-
this? What
that's
about
like
for
banner
sieging
command.
though? Do you think?
Yeah, that's
See,
what I think the main benefit of this item is for would be sieging. On the topic of the split pusher, I could see them using this when they're sieging into the
Right.
base because they have an easy enough time killing the outer turrets.
Yep.
That I don't, and otherwise they probably won't be rushing this item anyways. As
Yeah.
a split pusher. So this would be something that help break into the enemy base.
There's so many things I want to know. I want
The
to know how
minions
much,
actually deal like bonus damage to turrets, though, right?
because they explode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they explode and do damage to turrets. Yes.
I want to know how much damage that is, though. There are so many
Yeah,
things
because
that
like
are not set on
legitimately,
the
could
toolkit.
you like take teleport, split push, and then just drop this and like let these things just destroy the turret while you go team fight?
There's a lot of videos out there about this. I feel like we should have
Watch some of them.
watched some of them.
What if all 5 people on your team buy this item? How powerful is it going to be then?
Or
What if all
you go-
5 people on your team speculate about this and nobody
And
knows what it
then-
actually does?
All 5 of you drop the portals in a line, and then you can just race up and down, back
Yeah.
and forth while you're minions.
Yeah, I could see the whole proxy
just-
and
Can
dropping
you
it to
stack
just
5
jam
of
at the
them?
turret.
Well,
What? That'd be awesome!
So, interesting facts about the Void Spawns. Void Spawns are classified as minions for targeting purpose. They benefit from Elixir of Ruin and Banner of Command.
Okay.
The Void Spawns will
Nice.
benefit from Creator's armor penetration. But enemy turrets will prioritize Void Spawns directly above the chain of melee minions.
Okay.
What about Baron buff? If Banner Command can affect it.
Probably would affect him.
Well, Banner Command, I don't know if you get active on it with Banner Command, but I'm sure just the extra damage for everything
I
around
wonder
it.
how it would affect them though, because it gives a unique buff.
'Cause they have
to every
specific
minion
ones,
type.
right? Just like, okay.
Right. Well, the only thing with something we didn't
I'll
mention,
play with
Void
it.
Gates cannot be placed directly within the turret's range. They have to be
Okay.
They have to be placed outside
Yeah.
of it for
Makes
spawning
sense.
purposes.
And you don't want the turret to kill it.
Right.
So why would you anyway?
Right.
I guess the tank a turret maybe, but
Other than that, I have seen them place it like top lane by the golems. We're talking top lane red sign by the golems, and they will walk around into lane and go for the turret. They go for the nearest turret that they can get to.
You could even use this to
You
like
could use it as bait to get somebody to like come into their unwarded jungle.
you could do that. You could use it to. I was talking about using it against a Singe proxy farm sort of play, but you could use it to do that as well to slow down
Or
a
as
minion
Singe
wave.
proxy.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, to
proxying,
slow down
and
a
it's just
minion
hitting
wave.
the turret without anything else to stop it.
Oh my god, this is genius.
There's a
Well,
lot of weird stuff.
Would you do
going
it
on.
with a tanky jungler maybe? Would you use it?
I
Maybe
could
drop
definitely
one
see it.
when you gank,
It would,
if
again,
you
it's
succeed.
again what Punch
mean-
said. You have to have the life to pick up this item, or it has to be an item
Because
that,
resistances are awesome. 50-50
Well,
for
and
both.
The other thing is
Right.
too having
Outstanding.
that passive health regeneration on a jungler is not being bad, because if you're in a fight and you leave, you go back to the jungle where it's pretty safe, and then you're regenerating health the entire time. You're not being focused by the enemy team.
Right.
So like,
Yeah, that's the stats that
would be
this
pretty
item
solid.
gives you over Guardian Angel is that life regen.
yeah,
Otherwise, the armor and
Well-
magic resist are exactly the same.
yeah, stats
Yeah,
on the passive.
50-50. It's awesome. And that's just buy these. Buy 4 of these, double brutalizer,
All right.
and you go.
And this is the other thing too. Like, say
And
you're
banner
that,
command.
say you are that tanky
3 and a guardian.
character that you have you're on your last time of your build. You have enough to get a GA or this item. Do you really need a GA, and will that make or break the difference? Like, say you're playing Scion. Let's just throw that out there. Say you're playing Scion. It's late game. I mean, your passive would proc after whatever, but let's just say the GA resed you. Would you, with the little bit of health that you come back with, would that be a bigger difference in a fight, or would having this item be pushing the enemy to the turret or dealing
I
damage to
think
the turret
it
be
is-
bigger before that point? Because
This
is a choice.
It's not going to be one or the other.
Right.
Yeah,
it's
it's
not gonna,
both.
It's well, it's not both. It is
I
one
can
or
see
the
both.
other, but it's
It's 100
not going to
of each
be the
resistance.
thought of, do I build GA or would I rather build GA here or this item? Like, you
I think it's
have
would I
to-
rather split push or would I rather be in a team
Right.
fight?
They're
Well,
completely
am
different
I
purposes.
safe? Am I safe in the back line? Can I provide more support for my team as an AD carry instead of just damage by buying this item?
I
I
wanna-
really
I'm
don't
not-
see an AD carry buying this item, but it's just something that you
Yeah.
could pick up. Like, if you were you're 100% like that fucking Callisto we played the other day.
Can we talk
I'm
about
not
that? just for a
saying-
second?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just move in and
Well,
talk
hold
about
on,
that Callisto.
hold on. I want to say this. I'm not saying that it's going to be a choice between getting a GA or the Portal of Zz'rot before, like, as like a cognitive thing where I'm going to do this for this specific reason. It comes down to it. If shit goes wrong, a GA might be better if you die. Okay, but if you don't die the entire time you're alive, before that point of you dying, having that portal is bigger.
Yeah,
Especially
I
if
see what you're
right.
saying.
Doesn't
I
help
agree with
with
Like if
the-
you're just straight up not dying.
It's one way to
Yeah,
look at
then
it.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're getting the same amount of stats for a different passive that's actually going to be influencing something before your untimely demise, which
Yeah.
may never come.
Right.
I see what you're saying. Or even if like just straight up you're not dying that often.
Right. Then it's not that big a deal. Or if your passive's gone, and then bam.
I mean, how many team fights are actually happening in this game, right? Because
75.
the active on this item isn't doing anything in a team fight, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because the minions ignore champions. So if this is one of those games where you win there's team fights all over the place. If you win a team fight, you take an objective, or if you win a team fight and you win the game because the game's gone on long enough.
Or,
I mean, that's no-brainer GA right there.
Or, I mean, it's one of those things where you're shoving up the mid lane, you're all sieging in front of the mid turret, and you have whoever has this item just run far enough to bottom lane or top lane to drop it so that the minion runs toward that turret and is slowly doing damage to it to apply pressure and cause one person to have to deal with it where you can then engage on them.
Yeah, that's a different team comp in my mind. Like, you would, in that scenario, you're not diving the turret or anything. You're sieging. You're poking, you're trying to get that turret down over time, and that's when you would buy this item, as opposed to the GA, because you want to dive the turret.
You know, I'll tell you what, on Leona or Braum, I'm always going to get this item, because I always build health anyway.
Leona was the first person I thought of.
And if you get a Banner Command 2, just those 2 items alone are enough to force the enemy to deal with it. Even if you're getting your asses kicked, you make a lane pretty much push. You automatically say this lane is going to push, and you're going to have to put a lot of effort into making it not push.
It's funny because if a support was to get both of those items, they could split push by themselves and do
exactly fine. Split push support.
Well, let's talk about AD carry, because I know Punch has been very quiet for a while,
and the greatest Callista that ever played the game.
We played the greatest Callista we've ever played in our entire life, and I don't know what you want to talk about.
Please
Callista,
don't talk about that game.
Go for it, Punch.
I wanted to talk about, you mentioned buying the Zz'rot Portal on AD carry, so I just wanted to bring that up really fast. As you said, I don't see this happening, because as an AD carry, when I buy a defensive item, I'm buying it for one purpose, and that is to survive an instance in a team fight that I wouldn't without that item. For example, if I can get caught by an Elise Cocoon, or some spell, if one spell catches me from a distance away and I die because of that, then I need to go to Banshee's Veil to block that spell and to save my life. If they've got Assassins, then I'm buying a GA because they're going to burn everything they can to kill me, and then I come back to life and we can win the team fight because of that. So I'm looking at defensive items that not necessarily give me a lot of stats, but that give me an active ability, which protect me to survive the team fight.
Or you buy that
item does not do.
You buy that QSS as Callista into Skarner and completely negate all of the...
Right.
I had to wait every time.
Another perfect example.
I'm curious, Punch, have you ever tried buying a Zhonya's on any of your AD carries? Because I just saw a video on Reddit
with
about
Rengar?
getting it for Rengar.
Yes.
And then it's a shorter cooldown than GA, so like straight up, just the fact if you're using it only to survive that assassination, wouldn't that just be better?
I'm totally doing that. I'm totally doing that next game.
Yeah.
Next time I'm facing a Rengar that's blowing me up, I'm buying a Zhonya's. Fuck it. That looks awesome. But so the purpose of Zz'rot Portal, the only instance I would actually think about buying this is for a cheese strategy, where there would actually be like multiple people on a team buying this item. And everyone's like, hey, join the club, buy the Zz'rot Portal, and we'll have 5 of these, and then place them outside their base and totally mow down their turrets. Then okay, that's fine. We'll do that.
I love that we're calling it like a Zz'rot Portal.
And Zz'rot.
It might be Zz'rot, but I think every time I read the name, that's exactly it. I think ZZ Top, so I have to say Zz'rot.
The ZZ Top Portal.
And I
hope there's a skin for it where it's just like ZZ Top like hat.
Yeah, I pretend that
and then beards come out.
The portal has a beard coming off of it with a beautiful hat.
I don't know. After this item's released and people mess around with it, I think it's just people are just going to say ZZZ. You know, this item. Let's move on.
Zz'rot.
Well,
I'm gonna call it a ZZ Top Portal from now on.
I'm really upset that Smite'ems never took on. Like,
what do you mean?
They will if you believe.
Smite'ems.
I still call them
took on. They're Smite'ems. Damn it.
Yeah, no, all of the Smite items are Smite'ems.
Well, people weren't. Right. You could say people weren't smitten by the Smite'ems.
I missed that episode, and I'm so glad. Why did I even ask what that was?
Yeah, there's
Smite'ems. Come on. They're Smite'ems, David.
That's pretty much all I had to talk about for this podcast. Does anybody have anything like one-off, anything you want to just kind of talk about? We're into the last 10 minutes of the show, so we've really hit, the cheese, the bread and butter.
How does it feel to get carried to platform by a gold player?
Please,
Yeah,
I
Adam,
carry
how's that
you.
feel?
Do you want to see all my great canon plays? You can go on the stream and go watch that.
Was your
Because-
plat promotion successful, Recker?
It was. I went
Oh
2
my
and 2.
god, that was the best.
It was a really bad like 2 and 2 series. Like I just played horrible. The games that I won, I got carried. One of them, like the enemy team had 2 AFKs.
No excuses.
Yeah.
No,
But I played absolutely horrible in my first 4 games of my promotion series, and I went 2-2. And then I had like the best Thresh game of my life in Game 5. Like I straight up was just landing hook after hook after hook. I think there was like one team fight where I landed 5 hooks in a row and just like totally carried it.
So at the very end of that, and I actually put in a petition to Riot to unmute the stream because for whatever reason it was muted and I couldn't highlight it. But,
Twitch.
Yeah, the Twitch.
At the end of
At the very end of the show, the entire chat erupted. We all started chanting, "Call your mom! Call your mom!"
So I got my phone out, put it on speakerphone, called my mom, and she answers. And I called her at work, no less, because it was like during the day, so she's at work. She answers, and I say, "Mom, I got plat 5." She says, "What?" And I said, "I got plat 5, Mom." She says, "Oh, honey, I'm so proud of you."
She did too.
She doesn't even have a clue what I'm saying.
Doesn't know what it
She just knows like I'm excited that I got something, and she doesn't care what it is.
Well, you know what? During the reset, I'll
Losers.
see you in Silver 3, Recker.
Right?
We'll
You know,
work together to get it back.
I was really expecting his mom to be like, "You got a job? Oh, never mind." And hung up.
Yeah, right.
Oh, what are you making?
Nothing.
I'm making kids cry, just like we're gonna make the League of Legends.
I'm crushing dreams. That's what I'm doing.
But man, let me tell you, this belt's getting heavy, so I gotta set it down here soon. But I can't set it down off stream. Hold on, I gotta polish it a little bit.
Yeah, it looks heavy.
Oh god, this is
Who would-
this
who would
Solid
think
gold?
That.
this solid gold belt is getting heavy. Just like my team is gonna be heavy the day that we beat. your
Oh,
asses
I'm
down.
sure we'll be so heavy. You'll carry us so hard with all those deaths.
You know,
So
why
top lane's
isn't
so heavy.
Yeah,
Why
seriously,
is the
Punch is the
logo
one
on
that
the
should
wall?
be flexing over here, if
What's
anybody.
what?
why isn't our logo on your wall?
No,
Yeah.
we didn't lose anything. Pff, that wasn't a real
What are you
best of
talking about?
three.
It wasn't a real matchup because I was on their team.
Because
That
he
was
was on the
preseason.
team, we let him play Freljord. We gave him a free win.
We,
like that
we
wasn't
had
even
we
like
had
a
2
real-
support players. One who was playing top lane at
wasn't a
one
real
point,
best
the
of
other
three.
that played
Exhibition match doesn't count. It wasn't on the record.
Do you see
It was
that
the
right
one-
there though? Do you see that shit up there? That means we
Yeah,
won.
faintly.
I can't zoom in.
in the distance.
Wait,
Uh-oh. Oh, he's bringing us over.
I can't get it any closer. Wait, yes I can. Hold on.
Oh,
The whole table back. Jeez, why are we
Can't take it
doing
off the wall.
Oh, there you go.
there you go.
Figured it out.
no longer the
Figured
wall
out how to
team.
do it.
The mouse with the
So
cheese.
I'm just going to talk right there. The LCS rundown. I love you all. That is episode number 224 of the Trinity Force podcast. Still can't hear anybody. You guys can say whatever the hell you want. Everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
Fuck
you
you,
guys.
Adam.